never see them on ballots. You will never see them on magazine covers. But they influence governments, corporations, and markets. This is how old money controls power without being seen. You will never see them on election posters. You will never see them arguing on television debates. You will never see them trending on social media. Yet they influence governments. They shape global markets. They quietly decide which companies rise and which ones fall. This is not conspiracy. This is how elite power actually works. Not loud, not emotional, not public. This is how old money controls power without being seen. Most people believe power belongs to presidents, prime ministers, and famous billionaires, but public power is temporary. Elections end, leaders change, companies replace CEOs. Old money understands something deeper. True power is not position, it is influence. Influence means shaping decisions before they become official. It means guiding outcomes without putting your name on the final document. Old money families do not chase visibility, they build systems. Systems that survive governments, systems that outlive business cycles, systems that protect control for generations. Because attention creates resistance, silence creates stability. That is why elite families move quietly. They avoid emotional reactions. They avoid public conflict. They avoid becoming symbols. Instead, they become invisible operators. Behind policy groups, behind corporate boards, behind financial networks. This is where real control exists. Old money rarely runs for political office. They don't need to. Instead, they fund the environment around politics. They support research institutions, think tanks, policy advisory groups. These organizations prepare ideas long before politicians speak about them publicly. When a new law is introduced, when a new economic policy is announced, the foundation of that decision was often built years earlier, quietly, privately. Old money invests in access to lawmakers, access to regulators, access to decision makers. They don't care who wins elections. They prepare relationships on both sides, because power should never depend on one political outcome. That is why old money remains close to authority, regardless of which party is in control. In the corporate world, the strategy is similar. Old money rarely becomes public CEOs. They prefer boardrooms. Board seats offer influence without attention. From boardrooms, they guide hiring decisions. They influence mergers. They shape corporate strategy. They invest heavily in industries that control infrastructure, energy, transportation, communication, technology. Not just because these industries generate profit, but because they control how societies function. When you influence infrastructure, you influence daily life. And when you influence daily life, you shape economies. This is long-term thinking. Old money does not chase fast profits. They position themselves inside systems. Another area of quiet power is information. Old money understands something most people ignore. Who controls information controls perception. That is why elite families quietly invest in media companies, publishing houses, digital platforms. Not to openly manipulate content, but to influence what becomes important. Which stories are highlighted, which stories disappear quietly, which narratives become emotional. Public opinion is shaped slowly, through repetition, through framing, through silence. People rarely notice this, because influence works best when it feels natural. Old money also invests in education pipelines, elite universities, private institutions, exclusive academic networks, not only to educate children, but to shape future leaders. When elite students grow up together, study together, build friendships early, those relationships become powerful networks. Years later, when they enter politics, business, or law,
They already trust each other. This creates loyalty that survives public changes. Governments shift, markets move, relationships remain. Social networks are another layer of invisible power. Old money does not network on social media. They meet privately. Invitation-only clubs, closed conferences, elite dinners. Deals are not announced publicly. They are discussed quietly. Trust is built slowly. Power flows through personal relationships, not through follower counts. One of the most powerful strategies old money uses is crisis management. Economic crises destroy average investors, but old money prepares for downturns. They keep reserves, they maintain liquidity, they avoid emotional panic. When markets crash, when businesses fail, when property prices fall, old money moves in. They buy undervalued assets, acquire struggling companies, expand land ownership. While others lose wealth, old money quietly increases control. This is why many elite families become stronger after recessions. They don't react emotionally. They wait patiently. They also protect themselves through layered ownership, trust structures, holding companies, investment groups. Ownership is distributed across legal entities. Control stays centralized. Names remain hidden. This is not illegal. It is strategic privacy. Visibility creates vulnerability. Invisibility protects longevity. The more public you become, the easier you are to attack. Old money avoids becoming targets. They build distance between identity and control. This system survives because it adapts. Old money does not resist change, it absorbs it. When technology evolves, they invest. When markets shift, they reposition. When industries collapse, they exit quietly. They do not panic. They prepare decades ahead. They think in generations, not quarters, not yearly profits, but long-term family survival. Estate planning, succession strategies, leadership training. Children are raised to manage responsibility, not just money. They are taught discipline, privacy, strategic thinking. Because wealth alone does not protect power. Structure does. Relationships do. Systems do. When someone breaks these unwritten rules, the punishment is usually not public. They are not arrested. They are not exposed dramatically. Instead, access slowly disappears. Invitations stop coming. Opportunities quietly vanish. Trust fades. No announcement is made, but the doors begin to close. Elite control does not use force. It uses silence. That is why old money remains invisible, not because it is weak, but because it understands something most people never learn. True control does not need attention. It needs patience. It needs preparation. It needs discipline. Old money does not rule from palaces. It rules from systems, from institutions, from long-term strategies, from relationships built quietly over decades. You may never meet them. You may never recognize them, but their influence touches markets, shapes industries, guides decisions. Not loudly, not emotionally, quietly. Because in the world of elite power, the strongest influence is the one you never see.